يا بسم الله الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. طيب, another question, then we'll get back to the class. بلوغ المرام. طيب. Question. If a person now, if I'm traveling and I remain 3 days in the place where was my destination, do I deserve to break my fast during the travel or not? You say yes, of course. However, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, I'm going to read quickly even what the great Imam mentions it says. He said, there's a person that asked the question. He said, إذا كنت مسافرا ومكثت 3 أياما هل يحق لي أن أفطر في السفر? If I'm traveling and I've remained in a place for 3 days, do I deserve to break my fast in the travel? He said, فجاب فضيلة بقوله إذا كنت مسافرا يحق لك تفطر في أثناء الطريق وفي البلد التي مكثت فيها. مثل لو ذهبت إلى مكة للعمرة 5 أيام أو 6 أيام أفطر في مكة لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فتح مكة في السنة 8 من الهجرة وفي 18 أو 20 من شهر رمضان وبقي مفطرا بقية الشهر ولم يصم. He says if you're traveling you deserve and you can break your fast not only when you get to your destination, even in the middle of the road while you're traveling. So it's not a condition that you have to reach your what? Destination. He says, and also in the land in which you remain in, and in the land you're remaining in. Similarly, if you went to Mecca for Umrah, you stayed there for what? 15 days. Or let's just say 5 days or 6 days. You can what? Break your fast in Mecca. Because the message of Allah when it came to Mecca in the Sanat al-Thamina min al-Hijrah, after the 8th year after the Hijrah. He says either in the 18th or the 20th, which majority of Ahl say was the 20th, during the month of Ramadan, the 20th of Ramadan. And he remained breaking his fast till the month was what? Over. And he did not fast. So the hadith is al-Bukhari. Rather the message of Allah used to what? Eat and drink, and he used to what? Shorten the salah. So you can what? Break your fast in Mecca, for example. He said either during your travel, even if you what? Even if you're in Mecca, if you're still traveling, of course. He says, let's just say, حَتَّى وَلَوْ لَمْ يَكُنْ فِي الصَّوْمِ مَشَقَّةٌ. Even if the travel didn't have that difficulty. He says, even if they just say it was no difficulty. He said, however, if it's no difficulty, notice what the Shaykh says and pay attention to his speech. What's more virtuous is to fast. If it's not a difficulty. Notice he did not say is what? It's not obligatory. He said it's more what? Better, virtuous. But he did not say it's what? Obligatory. He said that's in a travel where a person does not find any difficulty. Excuse me. We'll get inside the narrations where there's narration where the message of Allah ﷺ fast while he was traveling, and there was a narration where he what? Where he didn't fast. There's a narration, for example, when he was traveling and it was what? It was hot. It was hot. And the people who was fasting was him and Abdullah ibn Rawaha, the poet, the great poet, the Sahabi who was a poet against falsehood. No. Some people say it's not permissible for poetry. Poetry is permissible as long as it does not have in it what opposes Kitab al-Sunnah. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, Abdullah Rawaha was known for his poetry. Radiyallahu anhu ardah. But anyway, so the message of Allah was fasting while he was what? Traveling. There's another narration where he mentioned, as a matter of fact, alhamdulillah, it's in here, it's in Bulugh al-Maram. It's in here. Where the message of Allah he reached Qura' al-Ghamim. It's in here. Don't worry. Here, matter of fact, it's here Hadith Jabir. We're going to talk about it. That the message of Allah left out for the conquest of Mecca in Ramadan. And he was what? Fasting. Until he reached this place called Qura' al-Ghamim. We're going to talk about it. And the people were fasting. So the message of Allah called for Alhamdulillah. He called for a container of water and he raised it until the people started looking at him. He said, ثم شرب فقيل له بعد ذلك إن بعض الناس قد صام يا رسول الله فقال أولئك العصاة أولئك العصاة وفي لفظ فقيل له إن بعض الناس قد شق عليهم الصيام وإنما ينتظرون فيما فعلت فدعا بقدح من ماء بعد العصر فشرب. To the end of it. So the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam here, what? It says that the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised the container in front of the people. So the people were looking at him. Made it clear what he was about to do. He drank from the container, or he drank from the container, excuse me. He drank from the container. And it was said to him after that, verily some of the people are still fasting. The message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, they are disobedient, they are disobedient. So here the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was what? Was fasting. But he raised the container and broke it while he was what? Traveling. Because the people were facing what? A difficulty. So here it shows that what? If they are facing a difficulty, he made them what? Fast. Especially to the point where it was something that was what? Very hard upon them. And found a great difficulty. To the point where the message of Allah became upset when they did not what? Break their fast. To the point he described them as being disobedient. Because they was facing difficulty. And we know that Allah Ta'ala made the religion of ease and something of relief upon the people, not for something to be a burden. طيب. So the message of Allah sallallahu in narrations which is to come, showing that what? He would travel and he would fast, and there was a travel and there was a point where he also broke it. And his narrations and when the man who was what? He was passing out. And he was giving him shade because he passed out from what? From fasting while he was traveling. He passed out. To the point where the message of Allah said, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. He said the narration that we know, where he said, that it is not from righteousness to fast while one is traveling. But he was talking about here, it's not from righteous, or it's not from piety. He was talking about here for a specific situation, meaning that if a person is what? In a state where he's about to lose his life, or he's passed out. That's not righteous. Now you're switching into something else. Where the hukum can even change. Especially if you're in this state. Where the condition of your body has reached this level. Whereas now it's going to what? Be something detrimental to your health. Or to your body. Here the what? The message of Allah said about him specifically, what everyone? It's not from piety to travel while one is fasting. He's talking about what? That person who's facing that difficulty. So that's what the narration applies to. Not to say that what Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, Abu Muhammad Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, based upon that narration, he says haram to fast while you're traveling. Khalas, due to that hadith. That's because they take the what? The apparent text without gathering it and putting it with the other ones. You understand? That particular narration is only talking about a person facing a great difficulty, because we have other narrations where the message of Allah say clearly, as we're going to talk about inshallah, where a person actually came to him and said, can I fast or while I'm traveling or break it? He says, if you do, then good. But if you want to fast, then also what? No problem. So he made it clear, sallallahu, that you could do what? You could either or. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? What? What? No, of course. Of course. طيب. The origin of this matter of traveling, and that it's permissible to what? Break one's fast, goes back to the ayat, which is the Surah Al-Baqarah 183 and 84. Right, everyone? Surah Al-Baqarah. That's the dalil. But the message of Allah, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? وَمَنْ كَانَ مُرِيدًا مِنْكُمْ أَوْ عَلَى السَّفَرِ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Not only that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it twice in the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. He said, مَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى السَّفَرِ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. And there's another ayah, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى السَّفَرِ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ. Whoever from amongst you are what? Traveling, or those who are sick, then a period of time after Ramadan to make up the fast. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 183, 184. 184. طيب. So that's the dalil. And also from the sunnah, the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, everyone? طيب. Question. What is the ruling in regards to one while he's traveling and fasting is difficult upon him? We just answered that. We said, if it's difficult upon a person while he's fasting the month of Ramadan, then it could be what? It can switch. It can now, the hukum can change to something obligatory and virtuous to something that's now maybe even detested, and in certain instances haram. Now, a person would say, where's the dalil? Because Allah Ta'ala says in his book, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَىٰ تَهْلُكَ. And another ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Do not kill yourselves. Verily Allah is what? Merciful to you. In another ayah, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, do not throw yourselves into destruction by your own hands. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَىٰ التَّهْلُكَ. Do not cast or throw yourselves into destruction by your own hands. Right, everyone? So those ayats and the likes of them shows now it can even switch. One is not careful. We keep fasting and fasting and fasting to the point where you're about to die, the hukum can switch. And also likewise, the narration with the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, رَأَى رَجُلًا قَدْ ذُلِّلَ عَلَيْهِ وَالنَّاسِ حَوْلَهُ الزِّحَامِ. That the man that he was what? The people were giving him shade because he passed out and they were crowded around him. So the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam investigated, مَا هَذَا? Who is this person? قَالُوا صَائِمٌ. He's fasting. Then he said that statement that I said a couple of minutes ago, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. It's not from piety of fasting while one is what? While he's traveling. Meaning, if it's a difficulty upon a person which is what? Severe. For verily it's obligatory upon him to what? Break his fast. Due to the fact it says, لأن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لما شكى إليه الناس أنهم قد شق عليهم الصيام أفطر. ثم قيل له إن بعض الناس قد صام فقال أولئك العصاة. We all just mentioned that. Hadith Jabir. He says, what is obligatory upon a person in this particular instance is to what? To break it. Because the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even during the conquest of Mecca, when he left out, and the people complained to the message of Allah that the fast was difficult upon them. Until the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised, as we said, that container or that cup with water in it, and he broke his fast in front of them. Until then, when they continued, he said what to them? What? They are disobedient. They are disobedient. As for, if it's not difficult upon a person, notice it says what is virtuous, but it's not obligatory. But what is better? What is better? What is better is what? That he fasts. First of all, taken as a role model to be followed, the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just as it comes in the narration of Abu Darda, he said that we were with the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ramadan, and a day that was hot. No one from us was fasting because it was hot, except the message of Allah and Abdullah ibn Rawaha, the poet, radiyallahu anhu ardah, he used to write tremendous poetry against falsehood. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear? So that narration is the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. While he was fasting, he will what? Sometimes break it, or sometimes he will what? He will keep doing it. Because we know the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had that high tolerance. He had that high tolerance. But that doesn't mean it was legislated for the rest of the ummah to do it. Even though he kept doing it in this narration on Abu Darda, which is in Al-Bukhari. Why do we say now it's just more, it's better? But he doesn't have to. Due to the fact, like he said, number one, the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, of course. And also likewise, usually a person when he's fasting the month of Ramadan, it's usually a time where, like he said, the desire or that strong will to do it is usually there. And it's also likewise, it's relieving oneself of the obligation in which he wants to relieve with his Lord. So a person do it at the time is what? The time, if he does it, then it's good. And also because he's doing it in a virtuous time. Time that's superior, which is Ramadan, which is very what? Very tremendous, that particular time. And also to attain the reward. But, like we said, if one is not able and he decides to break it, then no problem that he makes it up after the month. We just said that it's what? Preferable. That's it. No more, no less. But it's not what? It's not wajib. It's not wajib. طيب. We already asked that. Alhamdulillah. Say it again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Question. What about the travel of a person, alhamdulillah, A person that travels and he continues to travel all the time, such as people who drive trucks. People who drive trucks. There's a question. كيف يصوم من سفره مستمر عفوا كيف يصوم من سفره مستمر مثل أصحاب الشاحنات. A person that fasts and of his travel is continuous, similar to people who drive trucks. What do we say? First question is, can they fast or can they break their fast? Can they fast? Or do they have to fast, or can they break their fast? Can they break their fast, or can they also shorten their salat and combine it?
They can break their fast. They can shorten the salat. They can combine. If they can fast, it would probably be best for them to fast.
أثبت يا أحد أثبت. Stay firm, Uhud. Don't let my facial expressions confuse you. You agree with Jamal? I mean, that's for everyone. Do you agree with Jamal?
If it's not a difficulty, then they should fast. There's virtue in that. And it's not obligatory, though, because they travel.
What do you say? Truck drivers be on the road for a long time sometimes. It's true. What do you say, Mayo? Abdul Malik? Mayo. Say that online. You agree with him? What do you say, Abdul Baltan? You say what Jamal says or what Abdul Malik says? The answer is permissible. As long as the person is traveling, the hukum still stands, regardless of whether or not he does it for a living. Doesn't matter. I even read what the Sheikh said. كيف يصوم من سفره مستمر مثل أصحاب الشاحنات. How does a person fast whose travel is continuous? He said mustamir, continuous. مثل أصحاب الشاحنات. مثل similar to people who drive trucks. شاحنات, trucks. So he says إن الله بين حكم هذه المسألة في قوله من كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. Use the same ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah. We just said it. فالسائق الشاحنة ما دام مسافرا فله أن يترخص بجميع رخص السفر من القصر والجمع والفطر في رمضان والمسح الخفين 3 أيام وغيرها مما هو معروف في أحكام السفر. We just said it. He says to drive a truck, as long as he's traveling, he can what? He can take the rukhsa. He can take what is allowed for him. By all of the different rukhas, all of the different legislated affairs and what he's allowed to do while he's traveling, such as shortening his salat, combining his salat, breaking the fast in Ramadan, even wiping over his socks for 3 days to the end of it. Of all of that, which is along with the ahkam or the rulings in regards to traveling. So upon this we say, it's permissible for a person to break his fast in this particular instance, or in this condition. He says as long as he's what? He's traveling. Even let's just say if he's traveling in a car for a long period of time. Let's just say he's just not just a driver of a truck. He's a driver of a car in different states for a long period of time. Does that change the hukum? Still traveling. Doesn't matter what size, shape car he drives or vehicle. Doesn't matter. He says as long as he what? لأنه ما دام له مكان يأوي إليه وأهل يأوي إليهم فهو إذا فارق هذا المكان وأولئك الأهل فهو مسافر. وعلى هذا فيجوز له أن يفعل ما يفعله المسافرون. To the end of it, we just said it. He says as long as he has a place, of course, that he has a residence in which he takes as a shelter. I mean, he has a residence and a family and a place where he stays, of course. And he leaves that place and he leaves and departs his family, he's considered a what? Traveler. Doesn't matter. So it's permissible for him to do what the people that travel do. For verily Allah Ta'ala says clearly in the ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah, what? Or upon a what? Travel. It says it in the ayah, which is in Surah Al-Baqarah. Clearly, upon a travel, doesn't matter. And Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala didn't restrict it in the ayah. Allah Ta'ala didn't make an exception. He said, travel is a travel. Allah Ta'ala didn't say if you're except in the state you're a truck driver. No, none of that. It's been what? It's been generalized. Allah did not restrict it in the ayah. It says no, with the exception that you're constantly on the road. No, none of those details was what? Mentioned. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala what? Left it general. If you're a traveler, you're a traveler. Is it clear, everyone? طيب. What about person now? كيف أصنع وأنا دائما في هذه المهنة أسافر دائما صيفا وشتاء? Same thing. Now a person goes on to say what Abdul Malik was probably thinking. He said, what about, he says, كيف أصنع وأنا دائما في هذه المهنة أسافر دائما صيفا وشتاء? He said, what about me? I'm always in this occupation. في هذه المهنة. I'm always in this occupation. I travel all the time. Summer, winter. We say, إذا كنت في أهلك, if you're amongst your family in Ramadan and you're in your residence, then fast. You have to fast. If you're not with your family, then you still a what? Traveler. It's not obligatory for you to fast. ثم إنه من الممكن نقول بأن لك فائدة عظيمة وهي أنك بدلا من أن تصوم في هذا الحر الشديد تصوم في أيام الشتاء. He said that also likewise we say another benefit, which is instead of fasting during the heat, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allows you now maybe to make it up during the what? Winter time. He said where the weather is what? It's not hot, and likewise the days are shorter. So it'd be what? Easier upon you. For the fast, you can travel. So if you wanted to make your days up, you could do it then. Gee. Same thing. Even if he's accompanied with his wife, same hukum. They're all travelers now. You have a group of people traveling. Same thing. Now, I want to talk about, we'll go back to the book now. Then we'll stop. Because this fatwa, I want to just probably do it on Friday. A person that now goes to a foreign country to study. They call it pt.2. What do they call those foreign exchange students? How many of this came to my mind? Foreign exchange student. Where he goes to another country to what? To study in a particular school. Stays there for 2, 3, 4 months. Is he considered a traveler or what? Foreign exchange student. Foreign exchange student. It's not a resident. We'll talk. I'm gonna leave that for Friday. There's one little detail. One little detail. Ooh, I didn't even see this. No. We'll leave it for Friday. Come on, we gotta get back to the book. All right, brothers, go back to your books. Go back to your books. We're trying to incorporate everything at one time a little bit. So just be patient. We've got 10 more minutes and we'll stop the class. I don't like to make it too long. Make it burdensome upon the brothers. Tariq, what you doing? Slow down still. What's going to prevent you from now coming over and still listening? If you don't have none, there's no problem to sit, Sheikh. So don't feel shy. He said he didn't have nothing to write. So I'm putting on piece of paper. طيب, let's move on next to hadith, brothers. Hadith Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله. Put a little bit more energy in me. You need a pencil? All right. Ooh, you need to do that. Like, come on, brothers. If you don't have it, just leave it. Just leave it. I don't want to, because we almost finished class anyway. Like, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, at the message of Allah sallallahu mentioned, said, "Man lam yada' qawl az-zur wal 'amal bihi wal jahl falaysa lillah hajatun fihi yada' ta'amahu wa sharabahu." To the end of it. Rawah al-Bukhari. Rawah Abu Dawud lafdhu lahu. Man, nose burn. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, whoever does not leave off statements of evil and also doing it in their actions, and jahl. Jahl here does not mean what? Ignorance. It means something else, as we know. It's like foolishness and acting in a very obnoxious, obscene, and all the other types of unacceptable behavior that applies to this. So it's general for anything. Becoming upset, saying words that are not, first of all, becoming upset, especially in a state where you're fasting. Person should try to stay best not to what? Become angry while he's fasting. Any type of obscene behavior or any type of unacceptable behavior, which we'll talk about inshallah. So the word jahl does not mean what? It doesn't mean adab al-ilm. It means adab al-hilm, not being forbearing, meaning acting in a foolish, unacceptable, obscene behavior, which we'll speak about inshallah. Notice it says in the narration, "For verily Allah is not in need that a person leave off his food and his drink." What does that mean? We'll talk about that inshallah. Because it's as if it's saying Allah is not in need. What is the meaning of this narration? So that means that if a person does leave it off, that Allah is in need of his siyam? No. It's not the meaning of the hadith. We'll talk about it inshallah, okay everyone? Before we start in this narration, we know that what invalidates one's siyam is of two categories. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The first thing that invalidates your siyam is what they call al-mufattirat al-hissiyah. What validates one's siyam, this first category, number one, is al-mufattirat al-hissiyah. Those tangible things or those tangible matters that will break your fast, which you can what? See, touch, smell, and hear to the end of it. Of course. Anything that what? That is put in the body through way of the mouth. Also the nose too. We'll talk about that inshallah. Anything, the meaning of food and drink, and the meaning of food and drink. The meaning of food and drink. What am I talking about? Needles. Needles that gives nutrients to the body is the meaning of food and drink. The meaning. But it's not done orally. It's done what? By bil-warid, or bi al-adl, or as they say, bil-irq, or what have you. Or bil-warid, or by the vein. Or bil-irq. Right, everyone? طيب. So, what is a food and drink and the meaning of food and drink? When I say meaning of food and drink, what do I mean by that? It's done by, they call al-ibra, by a needle. التي توضع وتحط في الوريد. It's put in the vein. Gives nutrients to the body, then what? Breaks the fast. Even if it's the nose. We'll talk about that. The nose is a passageway to the what? To the stomach. Upon the strongest opinion in which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Himself, he alayhi salatu wasalam mentioned this. We'll talk about this. And I'll just say it quickly, but we'll get into the narration. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Barik fil istinshaq illa an takun sa'ima." He said, put emphasis in, when you make wudu, to put the water up your nose. Notice that he gave an exception, except when you're fasting. Why? Because the message of Allah ﷺ has described that the nose is a strong passageway to the what? To the stomach. That's why he made it an exception. Like to be careful when you make wudu, because if it goes up your nose too far, it can what? Go down to the stomach. So the message of Allah said, put emphasis on making that wudu, what they call baligh fil istinshaq, meaning when you make wudu. Except when you're what? Fasting. So the message of Allah is clarifying here that the nose is a strong passageway to the what? To the stomach. So that's just to show that if a person puts his nose drops, that it can possibly go down to the what? To the stomach. So one should be careful. But as far as the eyes and the ears and and the private part, whether it be on the man as far as his penis or a woman's vagina or the anus, it will not break the fast for what is inserted through those passageways. Is it clear what I'm saying? As long as it doesn't what? Give nutrients. But as far as in regards to what medicine or suppositories or any of that, those matters, if it's put in the ears or it's put in the eyes or it's put in those different places that we just said, if it's just medicine or taking samples or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as it does not have what? Nutrients. But if it's a suppository or medicine or something of medicine that's put in through the anal area or the private part, it does not break the fast. We'll talk about that inshallah. No, the Prophet ﷺ is saying do it. When you make wudu while you're fasting, you still have to stiff up your nose. Absolutely. No, he said put emphasis. So when he say make emphasis, he means do it on a normal wudu. That's all. But he's still saying you have to do it. Yeah, that's it. You're right. If you do it by accident, inshallah, it's ma'fuun an. It's ma'fuun anhu. It's been overlooked. If you accidentally made wudu and you swallowed a little bit of water and went to the back of your throat and you went in your stomach by accident, it's overlooked. It's what they call ma'fuun anhu. It's overlooked, meaning that it's pardoned. Is it clear? Let's say you did it by accident, then it's pardoned. Because I think there's no getting around making wudu. Everybody has to make wudu for the salah. Fine. He just said don't put emphasis. That's all. He said, yeah, that's it. Fine. So all those things are what? Things that break the fast which are tangible. Okay? With his food and drink and the meaning of food and drink. It's usually put in orally. Through for the mouth, the nose, and the vein. Okay, everyone? Those nutrients are put in through those ways, through the mouth, the nose, and the vein. Nutrients. It what? Breaks the fast. Nutrients. If it gets nutrients to the body through those ways, nose, mouth, you swallow it, and you take a needle, put it in your arm. It has nutrients, gives strength and nutrients to the body. Then what, everyone? Face is broke. Okay? Medicine that's inserted through the eyes. Medicine that's inserted through the ears. Doesn't matter. If you put drops in your ears, put drops in your eyes, it does not what? It doesn't break it. Doesn't break it. So those examples of what they call mufattirat al-hissi. This hadith now is talking about the second category. What's the second category? They call mufattirat al-ma'nawiyya. The intangible or untangible things that what? That could possibly break the fast. Does it break the fast to the point where if you fell into it, khalas, I'm not fasting? No. For example, what are those affairs that breaks your fast or not technically breaking the fast, whereas if you do it, khalas, you stop fasting. But to the point where it can either diminish your reward or it can incomplete or render your fast is so incomplete to the point where as if you didn't receive any reward from it. So as if you didn't it's as if you didn't what? Fast. For example, falling into ghiba. Listening to music while you're fasting. Those things diminishes your reward to the point where there's nothing left. So it's as if you did not what? Fast. But that doesn't technically mean that if a person now is to what? If he's to listen to music while he's fasting, or exactly. Khalas, I found the music. Khalas, I'm eating and drinking, I ain't going to fast. You understand? It does not invalidate the fast. You still have to fast. You understand? Well, khalas, I looked at a woman walking down the street and I was looking. Khalas, my fast is done. No. You still have to what? You still have to fast. It just diminishes the reward. Looking at something haram, listening to something haram, touching, and these days of here in America, talking to your girlfriend, going to see your girlfriend, touching her, all those things will definitely diminish your reward. Definitely. You understand? Okay, absolutely. You understand, everyone? Hopefully they wouldn't fall to that point. Sheesh, that would be a person as a girlfriend too. Like you can fall into something major, that's your wife. Maybe somebody that's not halal for you. طيب, in Ramadan, that's tremendous. But anyway, for what we say, looking at something haram, listening to something haram, doing acts that are unacceptable, obscene behavior, backbiting, slandering, lying, also saying obscene, obnoxious things, or saying profanity, becoming angry to the point you're howling, screaming, and acting obnoxious. All those things diminishes your reward. Diminishes it. To the point where it will be nothing left of reward. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said something tremendous in this hadith, in which the Salaf, you'll find the majority of them, used to say that this is what's the hard part upon people. The hard part upon people is not to leave off food and drink, even though in these days and times, because people love food so much. But I'm just saying, as far as the majority of people in the countries are able to fast and leaving off food and drink, especially with, alhamdulillah, with men. I've never heard men complain that much about while they're fasting that, man, I want to get home, man, I want to eat some food, I'm hungry. I never heard a lot of men. Women, yes, I've heard them a little bit complain about food and wanting to eat. But as far as,
Men complain.
the men start complaining now too? Maybe I'm around people that's strong in their body. But when men start to complain now too? That's a shame, that's sad. Well, men now, alhamdulillah, why I say alhamdulillah? Well, men now, this is sad, regretfully we say, they took on a lot of characteristics of females now. They're very sensitive, very, very sensitive. طيب. So those type of affairs, the Salaf used to say that this is the test right here. Leaving off this is the test, truly, of fasting. So it's not just leaving off the food and drink or abstaining from being intimate with your wife or your spouse. That's not the hard part. The hard part truly is of testing your fast and protecting your fast is in these affairs. Social media, you name it. Cursing, keeping yourself level-headed, abstain from foul speech and obscenities, profanity, you name it. Not becoming angry and upset to the point where you're cursing, you're hollering, you're screaming, you're acting obnoxious. All this is what's hard upon people. Especially around this time which we're in now. Lowering the gaze, abstaining from that which is haram. All those things is the true test upon people. Especially when in these affairs. So you'll find there's narration which we'll talk about inshallah, with even Ali ibn Abi Talib and other than him, and she says, لَيْسَ الصِّيَامِ مِنَ الْأَكْلِ وَالشُّرْبِ. This is a hadith. But at any rate, it does, it's narration. We said, لَيْسَ الصِّيَامِ مِنَ الْأَكْلِ وَالشُّرْبِ وَلَكِنْ مِنَ الْكَذِبِ وَالْبَاطِلِ وَاللَّغْوِ. We'll talk about that inshallah. Where Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, Siyam is not from food and drink. Meaning, that's not the hard part. He says, however, what is the hard part is, الْكَذِبِ وَالْبَاطِلِ وَاللَّغْوِ. Meaning indulging in what? Of lying and false, anything that's of what? That's of false, obscene, obnoxious, abominable behavior or actions. In statements and actions. Batil wal laghwi, and useless speech. That's the ultimate test, which a lot of people forget about. They think just siyam is just abstaining from food and drink, khalas, being into my wife, but then you see them and saying anything, doing anything. These things are what? Is where the test truly manifests itself. So that's the second category of what? Of fasting, right, everyone? And I'll read what the great Imam Sheikh Salih Fawzan even mentions, says. This is what he said. المفطرات معنوية يصح مع الصيام ولكن ينقص ثوابه. I gotta stop soon. أو لا يكون فيه ثواب. هذه مفطرات معنوية وهي فعل المحرمات بالكلام المحرم والنظر المحرم وكل ما حرم الله سبحانه وتعالى فإنه إذا فعله الصائم فإنه ينقص ثوابه أو يبطل ثوابه فهو مفطر معنوي لا يؤمر. This is a important point. لا يؤمر بالقضاء لا يؤمر بالقضاء صيامه صحيح في الظاهر لكن ناقص الأجر وليس فيه أجر بسبب هذه المحرمات التي ارتكبها وهو الصائم ومنها ما في هذا الحديث من المحرمات. We just talked about that. The first or the category we're talking about is with those affairs that break your fast. He called it ma'nawi. It's intangible. You can't see it. He says siyam is still valid if one is to fall into this. However, his reward is diminished, or he might not have any reward. He said, but however, these intangible type of affairs that break your fast, such as doing or committing unlawful acts, or speech that's unlawful, or looking at unlawful looks, or everything that Allah has made unlawful. For verily, if the Sa'im is to do it, his reward will be diminished and it will be what? Incomplete. He says even to the point where his reward will be what? Totally nullified if he's not careful. His reward, not his fast. For verily, the affairs of breaks the fast that's intangible. He's not commanded to make it up. So notice I said that. It's a key point. So a person now is to fall into listening to music while he's fasting. May Allah protect all of us and you. Does he now say, khalas, I'll listen to music while I was fasting, so let me eat and drink, I'm cool. La. You still continues to fast. You understand? So his fasting is what? Is valid of what is apparent. However, it is incomplete in its reward. Or he might not have no reward because of these type of what? Unlawful affairs in which he committed while he was fasting. He said, for that reason, from this, in this hadith, he said, from those unlawful acts which are obligatory upon the one who's fasting to stay away from, is what we mentioned in this narration. Where the Messenger of Allah said, what? Who does not leave off statements of evil and also doing it in his actions. So notice the Messenger of Allah described it as what? Verbally and physically, both. And also likewise being jahl, not being forbearing. Meaning someone come to you, just be like not paying no mind. You stupid dummy, you know what I'll do to you? And you will just walk away from the kindly. Not to what? Retaliate similarly with the same ignorance. But just to walk away. Man, who you looking at me? You looking at me? And you just walk away. As that has happened to me before. Somebody has done this to me. And I just kept walking. Because I know Allah knows best it was probably shaitan that got into his head in order to what? Make me fall into something. Shaitan, you purposely sent this person to start something with me, and I walked away from him. I looked at him like he was crazy. And walked in and I totally walked away. They didn't pay him no mind. Especially while you're fasting. You understand? So people that happens to you, what? Then, not having that forbearance, where you start to retaliate, then likewise you also similarly you lose your what? Your reward, you diminish it. So notice it says in the last part of the narration, Allah is not in need of him leaving off his food and his drink. And we'll leave it here, the meaning of the hadith, and we'll stop right here because Isha's about to come in about 8 more minutes. When the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah is not in need here, what is the meaning of it? The meaning of it here is said, you'll find Ahl Ilm, as we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the characteristic of need at all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the characteristic what they call haja. Haja meaning need. Allah is what? Ghani. Allah, because it contradicts the characteristic of his essence that he always has, which is ghina, absolute self-sufficiency. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the characteristic of what? Of need whatsoever. If that's the case, then what's the meaning of the hadith? So, if a person left off these acts, does that mean Allah is in need of your food and drink now? Because that's what a person, when he reads it, that's what he would think. The meaning of the hadith is, brothers, the meaning of the hadith is, Tariq, take the jacket off your mouth. The meaning of the hadith is, be patient with our young brothers. The meaning of the hadith is, this is not the siyam that Allah wanted from his slave till he accepts it from him. This is a type of siyam that Allah does not want from his slave or his worshippers, so he can accept it from him. He does not want this type of fasting. This is not the fast that Allah wants. This is not the fast. It's time already? I thought it came at 9:35. 9:30? Hold on, I'm thinking it's... Okay, it just came in. So this is not the fast that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted. That's the meaning of this narration. This is not the fast that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from his worshippers. It's not the fast that he wants. That's the meaning of it. No. That's not the fast that Allah wants. He wants him to leave off food and drink, but also on top of that, what's more important than that? Lead off all the unlawful behavior that's unlawful. Because Siyam is basically it's a school to teach you this is what you're supposed to be doing the rest of your life. That's the reason why fasting has been prescribed. It's a school. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد قام محمود هذه وحده. طيب, brothers, that's the meaning of the hadith. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you just to leave off food and drink and intimacy with your spouse during the day, but something that's more important. Something that's more important, which is a test upon, not more important, I would say, but something that is the test in which a lot of people are not able to pass, which is either doing acts or saying things that is not acceptable verbally or physically. As far as an obscene behavior, obscene, obnoxious behavior, and obscene, obnoxious speech and vain speech, which is not acceptable, not even outside the month of Ramadan. Like you said, Ramadan, one of the intents of it is a what? It's a school to teach you to do this all around the year. That's the reason why you're supposed to what? That's the main purpose of what? Of why it was one of the reasons why it was what? Legislated. To teach the one that this is what you're supposed to be doing not only in this month but outside the month all throughout your life. Continue in that same type of level of ibadah, of worship, even after the month is over. Remaining calm and abstaining from foul and obscene speech and abominable speech and abominable actions outside the month. So that's one of the reasons why this, like we said, it's a school. It's a madrasa. Right, we'll stop here. Anything else about the class? Tafadhal, Jamal.
Quick question about we was talking about ways to feed and stuff like that. You gave an ayat. Well, I don't know where it was at, but I want
This is Surah Al-Baqarah.
I want to know if there's
Same ayat. Say 183.
if that same hukum applies to zakat al-fitr about giving the food. You know, some people they're trying to get money and stuff.
No, it doesn't. The ayat, I don't know any ayat that's speaking about zakat al-fitr. That's in the sunnah. That's in the sunnah. That's in the sunnah. That's in the sunnah. Here, those ayahs in this context, and that ayah is talking about siyam. For a person, what would be a compensation for one not fasting? That's in regards to siyam for Ramadan, not zakat al-fitr. Zakat al-fitr comes in the sunnah. There's never been a text where the Sahaba accepted money for zakat al-fitr or gave out money. None of them. And the ulama say money was present during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So how are you going to use that as a hujjah? Oh, they didn't have money. Yes, they did have money. They had a currency. And despite of that, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ never legislated, nor did he accept it, nor did he give it for zakat al-fitr. That's for the Ikhwanis. The Ikhwanis always do that because they want money. All they care about is money. They don't care about the people's Islam like that. They don't really care. Majority of the people, regretfully, it's sad to say that majority of the Muslims these days go to people that truly in reality don't care about them either. Why do you say that? Because you look at how they're teaching them. Like, for example, in Philadelphia, the new wave of people now that everybody's hyped for is the new students of knowledge now, so-called, that's down southwest Philadelphia, and the other people who following the Mr. Tahir White and all of them, and his followers and his cronies that follow him. All those guys now, I noticed their pattern. A lot of them, they're teaching at their masjid, what's it called? Aqidat al-wasatiyya wal-i'tidal. I call it masjid al-ghulu wal-i'tidal. But anyway, that masjid teaching these people a bunch of fiqh issues. Fiqh issues. Akhi, how in the world do you think a community is going to change where you're trying to build branches where it's just like going outside, you're trying to put branches up with no tree trunk for it to hang on? I mean, it's just absolute foolishness. And really people agree with that and they go down there and sit. Oh yeah, huh? And Allah knows best. Just like our brother Abu Iyad, Rafiq. When he was teaching a lecture, he said, usually these people that don't busy themselves with the foundations and the usul, he says usually they end up going astray. He says you find them either leaving Islam totally, either left Islam, or they deviated to the point where either it's as if they would have, from the deviant sects, one of the two things, they either fall into just leaving Islam and being from the kuffar again, they go back to becoming not Muslim again, or they become from the deviant sects. That's it. He says, and a lot of them who do not learn their foundation, they end up just leaving Islam, a lot of them. You'll find a lot of them lead the fold of Islam. So you're busying these people in your communities with fiqh all day, with no foundation, which in actuality is not going to raise the people, nor is going to allow them to progress in their daily lives. Because you're building a big foundation of structure upon nothing. We've seen this type of happen in the past with Abu Muslima, Abu Usama, all them other idiots. What happened with their dawah, it crumbled. They didn't base it upon any foundation. You busy these people with all these branches to the point where there was no true progress. Same thing you find in their communities.